Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen, and happy Thanksgiving. It's the day before, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
It's I'm in San Diego, and I feel like I could be on a space mountain somewhere, but no, it's the pre-Thanksgiving 2020, and we're going to be talking about immigration. Exciting topic, isn't it? Yeah, so we have a really special guest from Silicon Valley, Alejandra Zapatero from Ericsson. Welcome.
Hey, Ed, nice to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you. So let's talk about, well, not politics, but boy, your topic is certainly ingrained and intertwined with that, isn't it?
It is a little bit. It's a little bit convoluted. I think the topic of immigration is really important right now, in part because of the election. There's a stark difference between the Trump administration's immigration policy goals and President-elect Biden's immigration policy goals.
Thank heavens.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit of what changed under Trump and what we kind of expect to change moving forward under Biden. If that sounds good.
Okay. Not getting into the politics, just the procedural stuff and how it impacts key people. I would imagine with that foreign policy team that we saw on TV yesterday, that opening up universities and opening up borders to educated people is really going to be a new life. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. The Biden administration has made it clear that some of their policy goals and objectives are to make the United States a place where the best and the brightest want to continue to come. There was a bit of a chilling effect on that kind of immigration under the Trump administration that I think the Biden administration wants to reverse. And there's a couple of ways to go about that. So the Trump administration had over 400 different policy changes over the last three. I know it's been busy time for us in the immigration world. But the important thing to remember about those changes is that they fall into two kind of separate buckets. One are executive orders and policy memos and actions that are enacted sort of immediately. And the others are like legislative changes that go through like a rulemaking process that are approved by, Congress and the Senate, and those take a little bit longer. So of those 400, there was a healthy mixture of both. But the Biden administration has said in terms of what they want to accomplish in their first 100 days versus, the things that they'll turn their attention to in the 4 years moving forward are sort of different.
How long will it take to, do you think, to make the changes to, I'm sure the PR will already begin at noontime on Jan 20, but
yeah.
How long will it take to get people to want to be accepted into the universities and into Silicon Valley and wherever again?
Yeah, so all of that completely depends on the kind of immigration that we're talking about, and it also depends on the bucket of actions that we're referring to. So I can tell you that Biden has widely publicized that on day one of the things he intends to rescind is the DACA executive action that the Trump administration issued. So DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and it refers to youngsters who were brought to the U.S. Without authorization, who have built a life here and remained here, and who wish to essentially be protected from deportation and removal. It's not really currently a full pathway to like a green card or citizenship, but it does protect them from deportation and removal proceedings. The Trump administration issued a memo on September 5th of 2017, essentially trying to terminate that DACA program. It's been caught up in litigation ever since. And Biden has said like on day one that he will reinstate DACA and take care of that program. So that's an immediate change I think that we'll see, to your point, in January.
And now a word from our co-sponsors. Our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
CubeMonk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so I just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
So to what extent do you think, and this is getting more into politics, but it's just opinion, to what extent will job protection be part of that package?
Well, so I think the Biden, again, from what I've read of what they've released, is certainly interested in job protection and, considerations given the pandemic. But there are two different approaches of how to come across that. Things like the travel ban, the Muslim ban, the way it was called, redefining the H-1B specialty occupation program. All of those are different ways to get at protecting American workers by also not chilling, positive immigration impacts. Does that make sense?
Not to me, but that's okay.
In short, there's ways, in my view, there's ways to protect the American public and make sure that, we are taking care of our economy. And I think one of those ways is to have a healthy immigration program. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
well, that's cool. Okay, so the economic impact, I know you're not an economist, but the economic impact of having more foreign students and more people in business who are immigrants is really part of economic development. I mean, just look at the vaccines that are being done according to the news reports. Immigrant scientists are leading the way without question.
Yeah,
which is cool.
It seems like a no-brainer to me too, Ed. It seems to me that it's very clear from all of the research and all the reports that especially students in STEM programs or PhD students who come, foreign students, provide much more to the economy and create jobs and, spur innovation. And to me, that seems quite obvious.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. So what's involved in making all this happen? It's all politics, isn't it? It's basically in the Senate, I guess.
Oh, so some of it. So like I mentioned, on day one, Biden wants to reinstate the DACA program. That's something that he can do as president via an executive order. Similarly, the travel ban that I mentioned a second ago, the Muslim travel ban, it came out in 3 different parts. So that was a fun time. That was signed on September 24th of 2017. That's the one that stuck. The third iteration of the travel ban is the one that finally stuck. But again, it's just an executive order, and President-elect Biden has said that he will rescind it immediately via executive order when he comes into office. So those are changes that are going to happen right away. But to your point, the legislative changes are things like the public charge rule that we've been talking about, which I'll get into in a second, prevailing wage increases that impact how much companies have to pay their workers. And then, like I said, the H-1B regulation. A lot of people know that the H-1B, certainly in Silicon Valley, is the bread and butter of the immigration world in terms of getting, and retaining talent in this industry. And there have been 2 major changes to that regulation that have to go through Congress and Senate. So again, not to get too far into politics, but the control of the House is going to be super important. The Georgia runoffs that you've seen people are talking about are going to be really critical about whether Biden's going to be able to implement easily his immigration plans, or sort of, have to do more executive orders and actions and policy memos and sort of, enact change that way.
So let's do a deep dive for a few minutes about the H-1B.
Okay.
What is it, if you don't mind, just, redefining, and is there a different system we could just kill that and just start start over with something new that solves all the problems in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I wish there was a magic wand that I could wave to fix it, but in short, the H-1B visa is a visa that's meant for folks who are coming to the US to work in specialty occupation positions. And the definition of that is essentially a job that requires at least a bachelor's degree in a field related to the offered role as a minimum entry. So think of it as specialized jobs, jobs that you need a degree to perform. And that's the basis of the H-1B. That's what it was intended and created for. Now, there's only 85,000 new H-1B visas available per fiscal year. So that means April 1 of each year, there's 85,000 new visas. So one of the changes that the Trump administration released on November 2nd of this year, so just earlier this month, is overhauling the program that selects who out of those 85,000 get the visas. In other words, each year there are way more applicants for this visa type than there are numbers available. And historically, there's been a lottery system where there's a random computer generated selection of all of the applications that come in. Those are the ones who get those 85,000 slots, right? And of those, there is a distinction between people who have, the bachelor's degree that I mentioned, and those who have a US master's degree or higher. So you have to have gotten it from a US university. And those had 20,000 spots specifically reserved just for them, which gave them a higher likelihood of selection. So all of this was how it's been for many, many years, this lottery process. The administration has now issued a new rule where selection is going to be based on wage level. So as you probably know, the H-1B visa, in addition to having the eligibility requirements I mentioned about education, also have a minimum requirement for salary earning, so pay. So the idea that foreign workers are undercutting U.S. workers is simply not true based on the regulations. So the regulations require that an employer must pay an H-1B worker the prevailing wage for their position in their county or in their location. So it matters what kind of job you're in, it matters the level of job, meaning entry level versus expert at that job, and it matters where you live. So those three things factor into determining the prevailing wage. So what the Trump administration has proposed in the new H-1B lottery rule is that those who have the highest level wages will get first preference in sort of a lottery category. So instead of it being completely randomized, like I mentioned, a computer randomized process, it would be based on essentially selecting those who get paid the most. The second part of that rule that they have proposed, as opposed to a random selection process, would be to give a selection rate, again, based on salary. So if you have a wage level 4, meaning you're expert, you're the highest paid in that role, you would have 4 times the rate of selection than someone who's a level 1. This is problematic because the H-1B visa, especially the cap lottery system, is typically for people who just graduated from foreign universities. Like these are typically entry-level H-1B visa holders. And the new proposed rule sort of, in my view, takes away the fairness of randomized selection.
So, just an opinion, why not make it 250,000 and not 85,000, and just open it up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it just has to do, with politics. Again, if the number was higher, then we would probably solve this issue of how to select people either randomly or based on their wages. But yeah, there have certainly been rules proposed, to just increase the number for sure. Like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So just thinking of like what one of the nominees said yesterday about making American universities the go-to place in the world. Yeah. And what are you waiting for? Right. These aren't free. They're going to pay for admission.
Yeah.
And usually
they're working jobs, contributing to the economy. Like, right. Again, you're kind of preaching to the choir with me. It's a no-brainer for me. It makes total sense. I'm totally in agreement with you. But the Trump administration has really taken a lot from the H-1B program in addition to this lottery rule. So the lottery rule that I was talking about applies to first-time applicants. So those 85,000 visas, like I mentioned, are new ones that are each fiscal year for first-time applicants. Once you already have an H-1B, you can transfer it and extend it without having to go through this random selection process. So if you're currently in the US on an H-1B and you're changing employers or extending your status, you don't have to go through this lottery process every year. But the Trump administration has still taken aim against the H-1B program with a new rule and that one came out on October 6th. So a lot of last minute rules, which narrows the definition of specialty occupation that I defined at the top of the call. So remember I said specialty occupation is that you have to have a bachelor's degree in a specific field in order to fill the role. Now they're narrowing it that the degree has to be completely one-to-one equal to the offered role. So in other words, imagine somebody who is trying to get an H-1B visa for a position like software engineering, very typical. Those types of people can have education in electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, software development, and computer science. All of those fields are very closely related to the position of software engineer or software developer. But under the new rule, you would have to have a degree in software development in order to be a software developer. So it becomes much more narrow as to what kind of applicants can apply for a given role. In addition, the wage levels that we talked about have been spiked. So I mentioned that, there's only a certain amount that's the minimum that folks must be paid, depending on where their occupation, is codified, the level 1 through 4, meaning entry level to expert, and the county where they live. It's based geographically. But there was a new rule issued for the Department of Labor, and that happened also on October 6th. So the two rules came out in tandem, which increased the wage level nearly 50 to 60% per wage level. So, to your point, the cost of admission is getting higher and higher all the time.
So, I really don't know what to ask, but about any legal stuff, but just the people that you're dealing with are well, actually I do have a question about who out there in the world can help you and help other attorneys do this, because there's a lot of people involved in destination services that handle immigration, but they're not lawyers. So is there a risk that they're giving out incomplete info? If
well,
not,
I would say in general, and certainly in the US, lawyers should be giving legal advice, right? Destination services providers can connect you with attorneys. There are different rules, across the world where you don't necessarily need a legal degree to practice law, so it's different. But in the US, for sure, you should be dealing with an immigration attorney for immigration regulations. And in terms of like how these rules are impacting people, what it means is you could have a person who's here on an H-1B and who has been working at their job. Let's say they're working at, Google or Salesforce or wherever, and they've been working there for, upwards of 5 years, and they're up for like a renewal of their visa. If this rule goes through, their visa could be jeopardized. They might not be able to renew their visa or continue working and serving in the job that they have been, if this rule goes through and narrows the definition of eligibility the way they're proposing.
Yeah, interesting times, isn't it?
Yeah.
So listen, this has really been just simple and right on and quick to the point. And I think we've covered a lot of it already. So I'm in touch with some of the destination services providers outside of the U.S. They're part of the Eura group and, some others. And apparently they're doing well, considering the change in the industry, changes going on now as a result of COVID. What do you think? Is that going to continue? It seems like that job is going to disappear or just become more mechanical, automated.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say because I think people are still moving, right? People are still relocating. I would say that the business travel is way down. Business travel is way down because people are doing this. They're having, Zoom meetings, but people are still relocating for their jobs. Immigration is not getting any easier. I can tell you that. So even under a Biden administration, U.S. bound, unraveling all of these regulations and, dealing with all the changes is going to require, support from an expert. And then globally, I mean, immigration is not changing globally any slower either. There are different countries that are enacting stricter requirements for entry and for work visas. So, I mean, I guess until we can have people sitting around a table as holograms and travel is completely not needed, I just don't see the mobility industry going down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So Alejandra, thank you very much for being our guest today. If there's one last thing that you'd like to stress, and please tell people how to reach you.
Oh, sure. So I think the last thing that I would stress would be for folks to maybe be patient with the new administration, to realize that, with, like I said, 400 policy changes under one administration is going to take a lot of work. But I remain hopeful. I want people to remain hopeful about how immigration might be overhauled coming up. In terms of reaching me, I work at Erickson Immigration Group. Our website is eiglaw.com, and you can reach me there.
So your role is in charge of the West Coast?
Yeah, so I sit in our San Francisco office. I'm one of the 4 managing directors of the firm, and the side hustle I do is our client relations. So these kinds of talks and making sure our clients are happy is my job.
All right. Well, I'm happy to have you come back and go deeper.
All right. Thanks, Ed.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.